Why did Portugal take Goa? Was it for pepper or for something else? Here's the strange part. There was no pepper growing in Goa. Pepper grew nearly 700 kilometers south, along the narrow strip of Malabar below the Western Ghats. That is where the Portuguese went first. That is where they built their earliest trading posts. And that is where the capital of their Eastern Empire remained until 1530.
Goa was different. It was a Konkan island, about 430 kilometers north of Cananore and nearly 700 kilometers north of Cochin. Goa produced areca nut, coconut, salt, fish, and a little iron. It could barely feed itself. It had to import rice. And yet, in 1510, Portugal captured it. 20 years later, they moved the capital of their Asian empire there.
So why Goa?
The answer was something the southern kingdoms desperately needed and could not produce in sufficient numbers: horses. India bred horses in places like Marwar, Kathiawar, Punjab and Sindh. But the great kingdoms of southern India could not breed enough high-quality war horses. The humid monsoon coast had no vast dry grasslands or open steppes capable of producing animals strong enough to carry an armored warrior through a long campaign. And the armies of the Deccan depended on cavalry. Vijayanagar, Bijapur, Ahmednagar, Golconda. Every one of them measured military power in horsemen. And almost every one of those horsemen depended on horses imported from Arabia and Persia. Marco Polo described the scale of this demand. Indeed, this king wants to buy more than 2,000 horses every year. And there was a reason. Many of the imported horses simply did not survive. One medieval agreement between Kish and Malabar specified the purchase of 1,400 horses at 220 gold dinars each, and if the horses died, the treasury still paid. Vijayanagar reportedly paid thousands of pardaus for horses, dead or alive. At Goa's customs house, there was even a bizarre rule. If a horse died while crossing the sea, the duty could be cancelled, provided the dealer produced the tail. Imagine being the customs official whose job was essentially, "Fine, show me the horse's tail."
This is where Alfonso de Albuquerque enters the story. His original orders from Lisbon were to seize 3 ports while sailing toward the Red Sea. Goa was not one of them. Then a Malabar privateer named Timoji intercepted the Portuguese fleet near Honavar. He gave Albuquerque an opportunity. Bijapur was building a fleet in Goa harbour. The Sultan had died. His heir, Ismail, was a child, and Timoji claimed Goa's Hindu population hated Bijapuri rule. He even promised Albuquerque 2,000 men. So Albuquerque changed course. On the 17th of February 1510, Goa surrendered without a fight. But the victory lasted only a few months. On the 31st of May, the Bijapur Sultan returned with roughly 40,000 men and drove the Portuguese out. Albuquerque came back in November with 34 ships and around 1,680 men. This time, Goa fell in just 5 hours. Then came the massacre. Albuquerque allowed his soldiers 4 days to loot the city, and around 6,000 Muslim inhabitants were killed. So why was Albuquerque willing to fight so brutally for a city that produced no pepper? Because Goa offered something far more valuable: control of the horse trade. Albuquerque wanted horses from Arabia and Persia entering the Deccan through Goa, partly because of the customs revenue, but much more importantly, because controlling the horses meant controlling the armies that depended on them. His message to the Portuguese king was blunt: whoever has the horses of Arabia and Persia will conquer the other. That was the strategy. Portugal did not need to conquer every southern kingdom. It could control the one resource their armies could not replace: the horses. Between 1515 and 1518, roughly 600 horses arrived at Goa each year. Then the numbers rose, around 1,000 a year, then 1,800. And during the peak decades, roughly 2,000 horses could arrive at Goa annually. The Portuguese crown collected a huge duty on every animal, while merchants paid hundreds of cruzados per horse. At its height, the trade could generate revenue comparable to some of Portugal's other major Asian possessions. And the political consequences were even greater. In 1520, Vijayanagar transferred the district of Rachol, in part to help secure continued Portuguese access to the horse trade. Goa was becoming more than a port. It was becoming a strategic choke point.
Albuquerque also distributed confiscated property to Portuguese settlers, encouraging them to marry Goan women and establish permanent families. These settlers, the casados, and their descendants became a crucial part of the Estado da India. Over time, Goa transformed. By around 1600, the city had grown to roughly 80,000 inhabitants, making it one of the great urban centers of the Portuguese Asian Empire. And Portugal held Goa for an astonishing 451 years. So no, Portugal did not seize Goa because Goa was rich in pepper. The pepper was hundreds of kilometers away. They seized Goa because the horses were coming through it. And those horses were not simply animals. They were cavalry. Cavalry was military power, and whoever controlled the horses could influence who won the wars. Portugal had found a way to control the outcome of battles it did not even have to fight. The Portuguese came for an animal that could not breed here and that was usually dead within a year. The pepper was somewhere else, but the horses for the south trotted through Goa. If you liked this presentation, share this with your friends and support this channel. See you in the next episode.